All right, welcome to another hashtag Ask Jim. So we're live tonight, Jim, for a new training week as well. It's a little bit colder now, which is, I know you don't mind the cold as well.
I do not.
No, so before we get into Ask Jim tonight, I just want to make everyone aware of a competition we've got going in Jim's Mowing at the moment. So Jim's Mowing, we're doing a social media competition for the best video or photo for the end of May. We've already got franchisees submitting their photos and videos, and you can win some really big cash prizes for the best one. That's going to be judged by a panel as well. So that's in Jim's Mowing. Make sure you take those videos and get them in. So what we're going to do, Jim, is we're going to open it up to the floor with our first question as well. If you're watching online, you can drop the question in there and we will read it out as well. But please make sure you take an opportunity to ask Jim a question and you get some great prizes as well. So who wants to come up first and ask Jim a question?
Yeah.
Yep, just come up. Don't put your hand up. Just come up. Ask him as many things as you like. I've got heaps of loot. I've got heaps of bribes. Let's do it. Go for it. Ask him anything you like.
What was your first job?
First job?
My first job, well, it was when I was 8 years old. I raked the gravel and did some gardening for a neighbour across the back fence. Does that count as a job?
Yeah, I guess so. It definitely does. Explains why you're going to Jim's Mowing too.
Yeah, well, that was, how long would that be? But 65 years ago.
A bit before my time, Jim, so I don't know.
A little bit before your time, yeah. And
Yeah.
I did that. I learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
Mr. Tapley was his name.
Mr. Tapley.
Mr. Tapley, yeah. Taught me a lot, that guy.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Cool. That's how easy it is, guys. Ask anything that you want to Jim. So come up and ask him a question. Go for it.
Yeah.
Jim, Mark, I'm doing the mowing in Perth. Taking the whole Jim's organisation out of the equation and your PAC and your research side of it, if you could have the success that you've had with Jim's doing anything else, what would that be? If you could go back and do it again.
I never intended to be in business. So but you're leaving aside the research. I find it hard to imagine because I never really went into business to make money. I went into business to fund my research. I think if I looked at a really good job, I wouldn't have minded being a school teacher, teaching history or something like that. I reckon that's great. I love kids, always. That's why I've had so many of them.
Yeah.
I think being a teacher would be a great job, especially a primary school teacher, because I reckon those younger kids are so glorious.
Yeah, those ones are good because you can give them back. You have to take them home.
Oh, I miss mine. Let me tell you a lot. I've had, until recently, my youngest son has just moved out, but I've had children at home for nearly 40 years, so it's very difficult not to have them, I can tell you. I miss them badly. If we could have had more, I would have.
Would be.
But my wife did the best she could, but you run out of possibilities after a while.
You do, yeah.
And you got any kids?
I had 3, yeah. I lost one last July. Yeah.
Well, it's good.
Yeah.
Good. Not losing one, I mean,
No,
it's good
yeah.
that you got kids. Yeah. That's great.
No, thank you.
There you go. Good question. That's
Very
how
good
it is,
question.
guys. Ask him anything you like.
Nobody's ever asked me that before.
No, they haven't. No. Come up, guys. Ask him a question. Anything you like. Yep, just come up. Go for it. Ask him. Everyone gets a prize. It's easy way. We've got some bribes up here.
Yeah, we've got some people coming up here.
The beers are good too as well. Easy way to get a 6-pack.
Good evening. My name is Anish. I'm from WA. I'm joining the Jim's fencing.
Yes.
So I just want to ask, what are the challenges you faced during the journey, as a leader?
Well, the worst challenge is a result of my own stupidity. To be perfectly honest, I made some terrible mistakes along the road there. I started off, I bought a house like in the 1970s when I was a student, just basically my lawn mowing job. I managed to lose that house and actually ended up tens of thousands in debt by the time I launched what's now Jim's Mowing in 1982. So I did some really dumb things, and then I put money into a whole lot of different ventures, tourist ventures, all kinds of things. So I did have a tough go, but it was largely self-inflicted. And you know, I look back even 6 months ago and I thought, what on earth made you do something so dumb as that? I don't know, lots of challenges, largely if you're making mistakes, but I just try to learn from my mistakes. And some of them I don't repeat.
Good
Thank
question.
you.
Good question.
Easy. Go for it. Come up.
Hi Jim, I'm Diane. I'm joining the bookkeeping division.
That's what I was saying to you. Didn't look like a lawn mowing contractor from Tasmania. That's right. Yeah.
That's it. Now, how do you decide when you're going to start a new lot, like the health one's a new up and running one?
Yeah.
How do you decide what you're going to sort of do with that side of things?
Okay, it has to be a possible division. In other words, it has to be something that's got a sufficient scale, because we don't make a lot of money per franchisee. If we had 5 franchisees, it'd be completely worthless because there's not enough revenue coming in to support it. So we need something that's a big business, which something like healthcare or bookkeeping is, obviously. But the principal thing we need is the right person to drive it. And if you look at why divisions work and why they fail, it's always to do with the person who's in charge. So we have a system now where we don't actually grant new divisions, we do what's called a divisional rental. There's a process, we interview, we trial them, they get to do the research, we bring them to franchise or training where they get screened fairly carefully. If we think they're right to go, we rent them the division. And they've got to get 30 franchises within 3 years or so.
Okay.
And then then the group division is granted. But finding great people is the hardest. And you never know, somebody in this room today may well be at some time starting a new Jim's division. Just as like last year.
Driving school.
Yeah,
Yep.
Lance, a franchisee called Lance, who's a Mowing franchisee from Adelaide, started driving school. So far going very well. I don't think there's anybody this week, is there?
Oh, but they had 18 last training or the training before, yeah.
Yeah, they're 8. So it's really actually going very well. Lance is simply a Mowing franchisee, but he's a very good franchisee. He's making very good money. He's got great customer service, and he's just a good guy. Mm-hmm. So that's how these things start. Bill Cobanoglu, who comes from the clean division, he started a laundry. It's now got 130 odd
Yep.
franchisees. Other people just come to us, like Paul Cumberford came to us with the idea for building inspections, but I never thought of. There's now got over 100 of those too.
180, yeah.
180.
Yeah.
Great division. Or somebody came to us who had a test and tag business. I didn't even know such a thing. Came to us, made the point. We've now got over 200 test and tag franchises. It's one person, the right person. That's the hard thing. Maybe you'll do it one day. Who knows?
Good.
And what are the costs, Jim? Because a lot of people might think it's a bit of an onerous process, but I know we just flick through emails all the time. This person.
We don't even charge up front at all. All we charge is the first 6 months' fees in advance. So it's about $25,000. Starting a new division is about the same as starting a franchise,
Okay.
but it requires a lot of effort and time.
Yep.
You never know.
Thank you.
There you go.
You're welcome.
Guys, come up and ask Jim anything you like. Anything you got on your mind, ask
question.
Jim a question. Got plenty of time. You get a prize, it's pretty easy. Come up, ask a question, get a prize.
Beer's pretty good. They tell me. I don't drink it, but
Yeah.
Hey Jim, it's Lachlan from Perth, cleaning.
a lot of people from Perth today. You guys
yeah.
must be on a fire, on a roll today.
If tomorrow you had to rebrand and you couldn't use the name Jim's, what would it be?
Wow, what a question.
That's a good one. That's original.
But it's original.
I've never had that one in a long time.
That is original. I probably use my old. I changed my actual legal name is David James. So I'd probably call myself Dave's whatever.
Dave's mowing. Dave's cleaning. Right.
It wouldn't be David. It has to be something
Dave's.
like Butch,
Has
like
to be Dave.
Dave's, you know, like Aussie and like Dad and Dave.
Pure Aussie.
Yeah,
Dave
yeah.
would work.
Daggy Dave, real Aussie. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think so. There we are. There's your answer. Oh, that's a
Dave's
good.
one.
That's a good one.
That's a
Nobody
very
ever
good
asked
one.
that before in all the
Very
years
good
we've been doing this.
Very, very good. Guys, come up and ask Jim a question, anything you like. Research, life advice, book he's working on, all these sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Come up and ask him.
Oops.
I've got it. It's all good.
All
No
fallen
problem. No problem. Oh, good. I got it.
Now, if anybody wants advice on successful marriages, come to me. I've been divorced 3 times, so I'll tell you about what not to do.
Ask him anything you like. Go for it. Come up.
Hi Jim, I'm Heather from Perth.
Again,
I
what is it about West
I
Australia?
roll with the Perth thing. So you've chosen epigenetics as your study.
Yes.
What drew you to it, and how much outcome have you got from your study?
Okay, I didn't choose epigenetics. When I started, I went to university. In fact, I've been thinking about it since I was 14 years old, what causes civilizations to rise and fall. I went to university to try and discover it, started studying history, looked at patterns in history, and came to the conclusion that what was changing, what makes societies rise and fall, was to do with changes in character, which I felt had a biological base. Now, I didn't even know the word epigenetics in those days, but later on, when I continued to learn about these things and found the start of research institute in the early days, then epigenetics became real, and I realised the changes I was looking at were epigenetic changes.
Yeah.
Now, what we've actually done, what we're looking at doing is reproducing the effects of mild food restriction, which is known to be very good for health, but it's also, as far as we can see, very good for psychology. If we could do it, we would help people with a lot of things like escaping drug addiction, for example, or depression, anxiety, a lot of things, even poor work attitudes and so forth. If we can artificially reproduce the effect of mild food restriction, we can do that. Now, one of the things we've done, there's a few things we're looking at. One of the things we've done is we're testing so far 1,000 different drugs in cells, in brain cells. And you put them in little tiny capsules like this, you put the drug in with the brain cell and you look for epigenetic changes in the brain cell. And when you find something that is characteristic of food restriction, you've got a potential drug. So we've tested 1,000 drugs. Just in the last couple of weeks, we came up with 61 that show effects. What we're doing is we're doing assays of them, we're doing tests of them, and then we'll be testing them on probably mice. And one of the things we're looking for is they'll be more bold, exploratory, better mothers, this kind of stuff.
Okay.
So we've actually got a fair way, and you never know, by this time next year we may have some things that could be tested even in people, if we can find stuff that works.
And when you say food restrictions, do you mean like reducing like preservatives and stuff in food?
Just reducing the quantity of food. The model we use is we feed animals 25% less than they would ideally like to eat.
Okay, right.
So it's just restriction of calories. They're actually very healthy. They live longer than normal mice or normal rats.
Oh, right.
So it's a kind of a health regime, but it has very distinct effects. They are much better mothers, for example. They will actually look after their young better. They spend more time with them. They seem to enjoy being with them. They recreate the nest. Rats make nests, so do mice. They actually do it better. They're more effective and more efficient mothers.
Just by reducing quantity?
Yes, 25%. Yeah.
Right.
So it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question.
You want to plug your book then, Jim, so people know it?
Yeah, this book here, where is it? This is a version, Epigenetics and Character, which is it's one of the latest versions of my book, though it's actually quite significantly changed recently. I'm about to come out with a book later, towards the end of the year, which is called The Baby Birth Rate Crisis, which actually summarises some of the data and explains what's going on. Lots have got to do with the dopamine system. I won't going to go into the technicalities, but within a few months it's coming out again, and that'll give a more up-to-date version. But this one, if anybody's interested, come and grab this one.
Well, we do have a new podcast with you, the one we recorded last week, Conversations with Jim Penman. So probably subscribe to that. It's probably a bit more. You explain it pretty well in that.
Yeah. Or you can go to www.biohistory.org.
And you can get a free version of it online as well.
Offline,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Cool. Come up and go for it.
Come.
One more to ask you.
This is the man with lots of.
Lighten the mood a bit. That was a bit serious though.
That's right. What was your inspiration behind writing Every Customer a Fan? I've already read that back to front twice.
You read it? Oh, great.
Yeah, and inspired to start my own business, but decided Jim's was definitely a much better option than going out on my own.
Cool.
It seemed a lot less scarier, basically. What was your inspiration behind
It's the
that?
latest. It's the latest version of the book that I read 15 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
I want people to understand what Jim's is about, understand the culture of the company. It actually is a great draw card. We tend to draw a lot of our best people from reading that book. They look at it and they say, I like the values, the service values.
Yeah.
So it's a good way of attracting the right kind of people towards us. The latest version is very different. The major difference is that we've actually got a lot more stories about franchisees. It starts with a story about a guy who was a manager of a supermarket. He wasn't seeing much of his kids because he was working such long hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And then his one morning he's about to leave very early, and his 4-year-old son says to him, "Daddy, I wish you could have breakfast with us."
Yeah.
And he quit his job, bought a mowing franchise, and ever since then, for the last 10 years, he's been able to see and be with his son growing up.
Yeah.
And he said that's more important to him. His income is no better; it's about the same.
Yeah.
But he's seen his son growing up. So the latest version is actually focused on that one, which you don't have yet, but we will. If you can get it in future, we'll give you copies.
Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to that. Like, I worked in retail for 10 years before floating out of it, and mainly reason my second daughter was born. and I just wanted to spend as much time as I physically and mentally could with them, instead of coming home 6, 7 o'clock when they'd go to bed, and by that time wouldn't see them for like 3 or 4 days, some days, and that was taxing. So it was, yeah.
The latest version of the book, which you haven't got, but we'll happy to get you have a copy, is called No Other Success, and it's short for the statement, no other success can compensate for failure in the home.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about business success in a sense, but more than that, talk about how that can be reconciled with family.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe being successful and making a lot of money is any compensation for being a good parent.
No.
Or husband or wife or anything else.
No. It's definitely good paying jobs out there, but nothing's better than being at home. So.
Well, I'm glad you like the book. It shows good taste. I reckon you're a good candidate.
Thank you. I'll have reading today. Appreciate it.
Well, one of the presenters is in it tomorrow is Dan. So his story's in it tomorrow.
Yeah.
He does a presentation tomorrow, so he's heavily in the book. Yeah, so he'll be here tomorrow, so asking a bunch of questions as well.
He's my franchisor too, so
There you
gets to
go.
know him pretty well. So.
You've got a great mentor there.
Yeah, seems good.
Cool. No
Thank
worries.
you.
All right.
Hi, Jim.
Starting a new division, when we do trial and all that stuff, I'm listening to the lady ask the question. Do you guys back up when we trial in and all that stuff, or who pays for it when we trial in a new division? Everyone might not have that money to trial the division and all that
The
stuff.
new
If
division-
someone comes with the new idea, okay, we should have this and it looks very good, look, show the plan and
It's
everything.
not the idea so much as the person. Look, let me tell you, ideas are incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
We could go to that room and you probably think of 20 new divisions we don't currently have, some of them quite plausible. That's not difficult. Finding the right person with the drive and the passion and the integrity and the service attitude to make it work, that's the hard part.
Just to run it.
So
Yeah.
maybe you one day, you never know.
I might have something in my head, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Generally, you're already running the business. It's an existing business you're running already, like
Yeah.
as an independent. And then if you wanted to scale it with the franchise, then you come to us. So that's what generally the most divisions that Jim will meet with. We always filter them a bit to ask them those questions. First, someone will go, "I've got a great idea, but I'm not telling you until you give me Jim's mobile number, and I'll give you 50%."
No, I already
Jim
have
can
that.
that sort of stuff.
Jim
So
gave me the first
happens all the time.
time,
You've got
yeah.
it now. Yes, if you've got the
Yeah.
idea. But it's generally people who are already doing the business already. That will do it.
Or
That's right.
the other alternative is the franchisee, who's a very good franchisee, somebody we know internally.
Yes.
So like I mentioned,
Lance.
laundry,
Yeah.
driving school, what else has come from Jim's franchisees doing it? It's
Bathrooms is one.
bathrooms, another one that's come internally. So we're always looking for, it's quality people is the hardest thing.
Yeah. One more thing with the splits, when people buy splits and stuff, I don't think anybody else does that apart from Jim. How long is the guarantee that those customers are going to stay with you?
45 days.
45 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
45 days is enough to service clients mostly twice.
and to make sort of
And then you
own
actually
client.
say that you're happy. You have to actually, if you're buying a split,
Yeah, I already did. Yeah.
yeah, it's a good start.
Yeah.
Typically, people who buy splits tend to do very well because you're off to a strong start. You've got lots of clients. You know what to charge. It's a good business. We expect a little bit of a dropout. If it goes more than 10%, which it shouldn't, then you get compensation. We'll start giving you some money back. But we hold the money in trust. It actually literally in a trust account, held for 45 days. Then you say, okay, these jobs are okay. These ones have fallen over. And then we, on that basis, we pay out.
Someone might not like my job, I might not like some customers like that. Yeah.
45 days.
Sweet. Thanks very much.
Questions? Really
Yeah,
good ones
very
as well.
good.
Got any questions, guys, for Jim? Feel free to come up and ask him anything you like. Heaps of time. Please feel free to come up and ask him anything. You get a great prize at the end of your choosing, except for the laptop up here.
Hi,
Hey,
I'm Shari from New South Wales South Coast,
okay,
and
good.
I'm doing
Not
dog
Perth.
wash.
Not Perth. Said not Perth. Everyone's
Not
speaking
Perth,
Perth. That's
no.
right.
South Coast, New South Wales.
Very nice though, actually. I remember going to Eden. Are you anywhere near that?
I'm at Jervis Bay,
Yeah, so not
a
far
little
away.
bit higher than,
Beautiful
yeah,
area,
bit more north.
Very beautiful area it is too.
So, I have a question that's totally not Jim's related. I
Good.
also
Love.
sent my 14-year-old. It's Ask Jim Night. What would you like to ask him? I wanted to know what your first car was and if you had any favourite superheroes. And my 14-year-old said, "What's his bank details?" And I said, "No, we're not asking that." And he said, "I don't want Jim to not like me. Don't ask that."
That's okay. My first car was a Holden Kingswood,
Kingswood.
which was a white car and I got it back in 1975. And actually, in a way, it's responsible for, because I wanted to get a car because I thought it might help me with girls, all right? Now, that was a complete failure from that point of view. It did not help me at all, but it did make it possible. I had to get a loan to buy it. I didn't have much money in those days, so to do that I had to make more money than I could make when I was doing some gardening. So I bought a lawnmower, and I bought an orange mower called a Pope. That's my first lawnmower. And I found I could make more money. I could charge $5 for a lawn, so I make $10 an hour, which was a lot in the 70s. And that was my first car. Got extremely battered. Eventually, it used to get banged, and I never washed it. I don't wash my current car either, but I never washed it. People would back into it. I remember somebody backing into me in a car park, and he was so apologetic. I said, look at the car, don't worry about it. And I ripped the back seat out because I could put more rubbish in. So it was the worst car you could possibly imagine.
Oh, the back seat, so you could put rubbish in there.
Yeah, I took the whole back seat out because I wanted to fill up more rubbish. That was the way I did it. That car went through some very hard times before it went to meet its maker in a junkyard. I've never actually sold a car, you know. I always either trash them or give them away to somebody. That was my first car. What else did you ask?
Superhero.
Superhero.
I like Spider-Man. I love the first two, the Tobey Maguire ones.
Yes.
Because he's very human, and I relate to him. And this is a struggle between duty and desire. And I think one of the greatest scenes, there's some wonderful scenes with his uncle and his aunt, and that sense of regret that he has for doing the wrong thing, and how difficult it is, and how at the end of the first, he actually has to give up the girl he loves because he's too dangerous for her. That was an amazing scene. I just love that. And with great power comes great responsibility. I really dig. Now, none of the later ones, the first two are great. None of them since then.
Yeah, there's too much action and not enough story.
I like the psychology, I like the moral struggle. You know, how he can, doing what's right is difficult. And that wonderful editor, you know, the one who's always ranting about him and stuff. And all the public, he does what's right, and then all the public opinion is against him, and he's criticised, and he still has to go on doing the right thing. I just love that story of persisting in the face of odds. They're wonderful films, those first two. What's your favourite superhero?
I have to go with Wonder Woman, just because that's where I grew up with her. So.
And what about the bank details, Jim?
I'd bank. No,
bank details from my son.
I'll give them out. You can tell them. I answer questions. I bank with the Commonwealth.
I'll let him know.
There you go. Good question. Go for it. Come up and ask a question. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Raphael. I'm from New South Wales, Sydney, actually.
I'm glad we're holding up the honour of New South Wales. I tell you what, Queensland and the rest is looking pretty poor tonight.
I know, Jim's bookkeeping. This question may be for both of you. How do you think AI is going to impact Jim's franchise, and how do you think we can take advantage of AI coming?
Actually, Joel's probably he's always rapping.
I'm always
about
ranting
AI.
on him about stuff. If we should do this and should do that. Probably more into Jim's jobs and how we integrated with that booking process. Quoting is a big opportunity, I think. So you can save you having to go and quote, but you can get the accurate information, and then online pricing to the customers based on what you quoted previously. That's the sort of stuff I'd be looking at.
There's a system somebody showed us, actually, they're trying to sell us. And it basically, if you want to collect the debt, this AI
debt collection,
actually rings the client up and has a conversation, and it recognises the answer. I give it a try myself, and it comes across as very realistic.
Fantastic.
You know, talk to my manager, and you know, how much can you pay, and this kind of stuff. It's very good, actually. So we're going to do a version of that, which will be included in Jim's jobs eventually, probably next year sometime. So I think it'll do a lot for us, actually. We're very heavily invested in IT. We're spending several $1 million a year on software development. If you complain about the technology fee, let me tell you, if you had to pay the full cost of what we're spending, it'll be a lot more than that. But it's got great potential, AI. It really does.
As a franchise, the next 2-3 years, you'll keep hearing AI agents mentioned and stuff. But you'll have AI agents do various things in your business. You know, it might be something with your bank reconciliation, whatever it is. You'll have all these little AI agents which you can deploy across your business. How soon that is, it's another story. People are saying next year and all that sort of stuff, but I think it'll be a little bit more away.
We'll be able to give you advice. We'll be able to look, when Jim's jobs is properly worked out, we'll be able to give you advice on how to do, you know, how fast you're doing your job, like compared with other people. also keep a track on how you're going and look at strengths and weaknesses in your business to be able to suggest ways to improve your income.
So you're doing bookkeeping, right?
Yeah.
So it's massive for you in your one. It's a little
Yes.
bit different than the physical stuff.
Okay.
So it should mean you can do more work for more clients cheaper. It should work in theory. There'll be a lot of AI startups around bookkeeping and tax and stuff like that. There's already a heap of them.
All right.
So how you deploy them, don't tell your customer you're using AI maybe to tell them first, but you can make probably really good money using these things for at least a couple of years.
But you'll also be able to act as a consultant to your customers too, be able to help them with various things. You never know what you can do because you're in a business environment. You know.
I think in physical services, there's nothing like, there's a lot of robots you stuff and see, but they're too expensive and stuff. I think at least physical services is going to be very fine for a long, long time.
Right.
I think gyms as a home services in terms of AI, it's going to be 20 years, 25 years, I think, no problem.
Oh yeah, we're probably the last kind of business that can be affected by AI and automation, but we can be helped by it.
Yeah.
And we hope to see a lot of improvements in efficiency. I would really, really want to see my franchisee income just steadily rising with time as we develop better and better systems for you. And bookkeeping is a great area.
So do you think bookkeeping will last with the AI coming?
I think you have to be an AI bookkeeper. So you'll have to have AI, you'll have to have agents that can do all the things that you do manually. There's a lot of things you probably do manually now, which an AI agent could probably do. There'll be a lot of startups who do all this sort of stuff at the moment. I'm sort of thinking, without looking into it too much. But I know a little bit about what bookkeepers do. But that means you can focus more on the relationship side of it. That's sort of where I think you can spend more time on, which is better for your business.
Do you think AI can help with the relationship side of it?
There's a lot of customer service bots and stuff like that. The voice stuff is getting a lot better too, but it's still not quite there yet. I don't think it's. I want it to be indistinguishable. So you get an AI agent calling you, you still know.
Okay.
But I think once it gets a bit more indistinguishable, yeah,
How long do you
absolutely
think
can
it might take?
How long?
Yeah.
There's a demo you should look up. It's called Sesame. Voice demo. Go to Google and have a conversation.
I've seen that
with it.
demo. Yeah.
That's the best one I've seen. That's indistinguishable nearly for me.
Almost, yeah.
They have versions of me talking in Turkish and all
Oh yeah, I've used 11 Labs on Jim He, Japanese, Korean, everything. I gave myself a pay rise at the conference and stuff like that because you didn't remember it, but I can translate it in there and play the video and stuff. So yeah.
It's a secret talk.
Well, because we're promoting his new book. It's really big in his new birth rate book's going to be really massive in Japan and Korea because they've got a really big problem with fertility there, and we think he can do well there. So what I showed him is we translated the podcast, dubbed it into Japanese or Korean with this 11 Labs, and showed Jimmy speaking fluent Korean and Japanese and stuff like that. So
it's astonishing what you can do. It really is amazing. We can also get translations done too.
Correct. Yeah.
Once the book is done, to translate it into all these different languages is really quite easy. And then they had somebody reading an AI reading my book,
we did the audio book,
and it really sounded pretty good. Probably better than me actually.
We should have got the thing to do it instead of getting you to do it. Because we just did Jim's audio book, and then we had 11 Labs and we cloned his voice, and then we got it to do it, and it was pretty much
spot on.
Pretty spot on. Yeah.
That's all very new. I've actually, with my book, I've also got this program called Hemingway, which is an AI, which you can put in it, and it's just how to simplify the language, because Hemingway's known as writing very, very simple, easy to understand English.
But you can look at the Industrial Revolution, like a lot of the time when the horse come, obviously, when the car comes, that displaced a lot of horses, but just, you look at all the times when it's come, everyone thinks it's going to take all these jobs and stuff, but it generally just means there's more work in different areas and things like that. So it's a matter of being adaptable, I think, and using those tools to really...
Have you used AI yourself?
Yeah, a bit.
How have you used it in bookkeeping? Like, how would you use it in bookkeeping?
Like you mentioned, maybe quoting clients.
Yeah. AI Sheets is a good tool. So there's one called GenSpark, which has got an AI Sheets thing. It can go and scrape profiles and put into an Excel spreadsheet for you. It can go and find all this data and collate it and do its thing in the background and put into a spreadsheet for you. That's actually a really good one. GenSpark, AI Sheets, yeah.
It'd be good actually, you can share this with the division once you start.
Yeah.
Because I don't think everybody's up on it the way they should be.
Okay.
So that'll be really helpful. You can be the guru right from the beginning.
I learned from you.
Oh, we learned from you.
Thank you.
All right.
Great question.
Thank you.
Got a question, guys? Please feel comfortable. Ask Jim anything you like. Nothing's off limits. Ask him anything.
Hi, Jim. I'm Choi from Brisbane, Queensland. Just want to ask, who's this man?
That's me.
That's you.
If you actually have a look, if you Google Jim Penman images,
go to his Instagram actually.
Yeah.
You'll see the picture that it was taken from.
Oh, that's nice. There's a follow-up question. How did you come up with that logo that it's going to be successful someday?
Well, you got to. When I started this business called Jim's Mowing, I was a lawn mowing contractor with a few subcontractors, and I did not expect to be that successful. I just put Jim's Mowing on it because it was Jim Mowing. And I used to put my picture, my photograph on my leaflets because I got a better response when the photo was on there. So no, I didn't know. I had no idea.
So you didn't put in your mind that can I use another logo or just wants your face over there?
Well, like, it was just me and a few subbies. It was really such a tiny little business. Look, even when I launched the franchise, which was some years after calling it Jim's Mowing, somebody asked me how many franchisees I might have one day, and I said, look, maybe I might have, if it works very well, I might have 100. I just had no idea. I just did not expect it to do that well. I was very ambitious, but I didn't think that lawn mowing had the potential, much less cleaning and dog wash and pest and tag and all the rest of it. So, no, I didn't know. One thing I know about business is nothing ever works out the way you expect. Most of the things you think are going to be good are complete flops. They don't work at all. Believe me, I know from experience, some things work out much, much better than you could possibly imagine. So, yes.
Nice.
I'd love to see there was when I worked for the Department of Civil Aviation, when I left school for a while, they developed a new logo, and they spent $1 million developing a logo for this Commonwealth Department. I think it probably cost me about $10. Mind you.
Sorry, get so many questions. Just to follow up, what is the important advice you're gonna give us to the franchisee that gonna help us? Because especially me, it's my first time to have a franchise business.
What's their name?
No, what best advice, right?
Yeah, best advice. Yeah, that you're gonna give us all the franchises over here, that might gonna help us to maybe
be successful.
Yeah, be successful someday, like you.
Well, they're going to be talking to you ideally at least weekly in the beginning, and they're simply going to work out where you're at and what your problems are, which could be quite different. So, for example, what division are you in?
Cleaning.
Cleaning, all right. Now, one issue you might have is that you don't actually convert as many leads as you like. You've got a poor conversion rate, in which case your franchisor will be looking at saying, what are you saying? How much are you charging? Is the pricing correct? How are you phrasing it? Are you giving fixed quotes? Are you writing your quotes down? So they'll go into all the different things that might affect the way that your conversion rate. Or you might have a problem with not enough leads, in which case your franchisor is going to be helping you to do pay-for-work guarantee, how you approach clients, what do you say to them, what kind of people, how you use social media to do it. If your franchisor can't tell you all of that, there's lots of videos, or you can get back to marketing at National Office, will help you do that. Or it could be you've got a problem with the technical side of the job, like you don't know how to clean an oven, for example. What equipment do you use? What sort of chemicals are safe? Those kinds of things. Or you might have a problem with travelling around jobs and need to help better advice on. So it really depends on where you're at. Everybody has different problems. That's why it's important you have a personal business coach, somebody who knows your business and who can help whatever your problems. Or you might feel discouraged. You might feel a bit lonely. You might feel this is harder than I thought. So then you've got your franchisor helping you and encouraging you and saying, no, you can do it. You've done good. This has got some great surveys. Come along to the meeting and talk with some other guys or other cleaners. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's many, many things that you can be helped with. Or you might be doing so well you want to put on an employee, so you want to ask advice. How's that done? What do I look for? Where do I advertise? What do I pay them? All kinds of things. You'll have questions, and no two franchisees are ever exactly the same. You will have a distinct needs. So, hopefully, who's your franchisor?
Moose. I got Moose.
Moose?
Yeah.
Mustafa?
Yes.
Mustafa?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh yes, yeah, he's good. He's good.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
we're talking every time, so he's good.
What about your overarching general? There's one saying you always say, Jim, generic business tip that you always say online. Look at what you do.
Yeah. Well, what I always say, in the generic sense, is look at everything you do and try and do it better. That's the one key difference between people who succeed really well and those who don't do quite as well. It's what I do every day in my business, saying, how can I improve?
Yeah.
Never ever think you're good enough. The people who think they're good enough are the ones that aren't good enough and nowhere near good enough. The people who are endlessly critical are the ones that tend to do the best. That's general advice too. Your franchisor will Mustafa will hopefully help you with that one too. But it's an ongoing relationship. It's a funny thing. We used to ask our franchisors to spend a half day doing a business review. And we've had no effect at all. But what we do find is that frequent, short conversations. How did you go with that quote? Did you try the thing I said to you? Did you try that particular social media? What was the response? What did the client say? How did you try that new product? Did that work for you? And then that ongoing personal one-to-one help on the phone. Often very short conversations. It might be a few minutes.
All right.
But that really makes a big difference. And we know that when you get that kind of support, you're far more likely to succeed. So, great question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I will say, check out Jim on Instagram, because that flyer he's referring to, his first flyer back in the 90s, is on there, and the photo that he's talking to is on his Instagram as well. So at the Jim Penman, we post a lot of motivational
No, that
content.
flyer would have been in the 80s.
80s, yeah. Well, that flyer we've got in the office, you know, the one when you've got yourself in the top corner, I think
Yeah.
rubbish is like $6 or something. Yes, we took a photo of that.
Yeah, it's because I franchised in 89 and
Yeah.
I never used a photo after that.
So there we go. So late 80s or 80s, that one.
Yeah.
Mid 80s, yeah. So we got that on his Instagram, so you can actually see that as well. It's a lot different looking to what that is, but you'll see exactly where the origin of it is.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Thank
Good questions.
you.
Thanks for those ones.
Thank you.
If you've got a question, guys, feel free to come up and ask Jim. Got a bit of time? Go for it. Surely there's something pressing on your mind. I think one gentleman had a question before. I don't know where he's gone, though. Anyone got anything? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, great.
You got your one. I'm looking at you.
Nah.
Yeah? Yeah, next step.
I was told, I went round before and asked you guys, and I had some people who got some really good questions for me. I know that.
Go for it.
Yeah, hi Jim, hi Joel. Paul from Jim's Pool Care, just about to start
What
up.
state?
Queensland.
Another
Brisbane.
Queenslander, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
You banana benders are...
I'm
Starting to
Victorian actually, but yeah.
Oh, really? So you got out of here, you moved up there.
Yeah, I've been away a long time, but I'm coming back. Just a little bit of it back onto the technology side again, because I see a lot of the advantages, the chat GPTs, I see robots in the pools and things like that, I see advantages. I see advantages for franchisees in reselling, because it's a part of the business model for the Jim's Pool Care and that. But then recently I'm spammed by these robots and lawnmowers that are all out there automating everything. So it'd be good to get your insights or feelings around all that and how it affects the mowing.
Yeah, look, it's great. We've actually tried them. We tried a couple of robots on the lawns out here. Did a fair job. We are looking at getting them. We just have to get the best price, because it's quite cost effective for a large area. The thing about it is, the one thing you never have to worry about is losing your job.
Yeah.
All your pool cleaner will do. We've had one ourselves when our pool was functioning, and it just goes around and just makes the job easier.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You still have to have somebody come in and do the actual work. And the same thing with these ones. You've got to actually, first of all, you've got to set them up. You've got to define the area properly, which people don't know how to do. You've got to set up the charging station. You've got to come back in. You've got to change the blades. They have to be changed every now and then. You've also got to do the edges. If there's any gardening or rubbish or anything else that has to be done, you're still doing it. We actually see them as a big advantage.
Yeah,
Not many
it's an
people will get
opportunity.
them, but to the extent that they become better.
Yeah.
We actually were shown the same thing several years ago, but the trouble in those days, you had to actually string a literal wire around. And that made it not very attractive. But now you can do it with GPS. You can actually work out how it is, and you can define where the robot goes to.
Yeah.
So they're good, actually. There's certainly no threat to our business.
Yeah, so you see them as an opportunity rather
Yes.
than...
Well, it's actually going to be a benefit to anybody who's smart enough to use them, because you can offer a service other people can't.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
100%.
technology is our friend.
Yeah, I agree.
Very good question.
Thank you.
Good question.
Good question. Go for it. You got the question before. Yeah. Yeah, was it? Right, it's pointing to him.
We love questions for a man with a beard. He's got a proper Jim's beard.
I'm Dushan. I'm from New Zealand but live in Dubbo, New South Wales. What are you most proud of, and how do you find the time to do all of this and your family? And
what I'm most proud of, a bit of a conversation across there.
That's all. Most proud of.
What I'm most proud of, really, is the attitude of my people. I see so many cases of franchisees and franchisors going beyond the norm to help somebody else. That is the essence of the Jim's culture. During COVID, when no franchisees were able to work in Victoria, and no fees were being charged, franchisors were still looking after their franchisees. I get talks all the time. People contact me, they want to do something for their franchisees. Sometimes I reckon they're actually they're too soft in a way. They're too concerned. But that's better than the other way around. So when I see people caring for each other, we had a guy called Brian Duckett came to a franchising conference in Queensland many years ago. And this is a guy who dealt with dozens of franchise systems over the years. And he came to our conference and he said he'd never seen anything like Jim's. He said because the franchisors, they really care about their franchisees. They really care. He'd never seen that in that culture that we have. That's what comes out of the book and something hopefully you get from this course too.
Yeah, well, that's what pulled me here. I went out on, I think 2 days. I'd done a day on the road with, you know, Mitch and Heath from Dubbo.
Mitch Blake, yeah?
Mitch, yeah, and that's what made me come, was just seeing his support, and I wasn't even, you know, here yet, and just the way he was calling me, texting me, making sure I'm all right, and if I needed help.
And after you start, he'll still be there for you too.
Yeah.
Even if he's not paid as a trainer, I just know I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
You go into a meeting, somebody's there, they'll look after you, they'll put you under their wing, they'll give you advice, they'll talk to you, you ring them in the evenings, they'll see you. It's like that. And down the track a bit, you'll do the same thing too.
Yeah.
You'll be one of the ones, you've been there for a few years, somebody will come in who's a newbie and they say, I don't know how to do this, and you say, look, this is what I do. Learn from me.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
how do you find
that
the
makes me
time?
really proud when I hear that.
Yeah. And how do you find the time for all of this, like your time management?
Well, you know, I've got one great ability, is I'm particularly pathetic at doing almost everything else. I'm no good with social media. I am no good with accounts. I'm no good with documents and contracts. I'm not a particularly good administrator. A big part of my job is simply being in touch with my franchisees, in particular, franchisors, clients, staff members, just listening to what's going on and saying, how can we do better? How can I improve? So in actual fact, I don't even know how many hours a week I work, but I don't kill myself. I honestly don't.
Yeah.
Do I?
You don't.
I do actually.
You work in spurts though.
I do work in spurts. You'll get an email from me at 2:30 in the morning or something like that, which people think, he never stops. Well, I do. I actually just woke up and I was a bit, you know, couldn't sleep, so I thought I might as well go and do some emails, or during public holidays or anything. But I tell my staff, I don't expect you to respond. I'll just, when I think of something, I'll send it through, and you respond during working hours. No, I don't. I wish I was more capable, frankly. I'm not, but I'm. It's only a few things that I can do quite well, and I try and work on those. Yeah.
We've got a good day in the live video on YouTube with Jim, so we actually did follow him around for a day, condensed it into 45 minutes, so it's a good watch. Shows you how Jim deals with emails, complaints, all that sort of stuff.
I'm very efficient too, that's one thing too. I deal with well over 100 emails a day, and as Joel will tell you, my most common comment is, okay, Jim, or do that, or something like that. Or
you don't send him an email like this and then you get okay and get annoyed, because that's what happens sometimes with people. Be really short and straight to the point.
Very terse, and I have a way of doing it. I go through the latest email first, deal with it, do something with it, respond, look up something, do it, send it, whatever, or ignore it. Quite often is the case, not to do with me. Mostly people copy me a lot of stuff that I don't need to see. I just briefly see, copy it, next one down, next one, finish it, get the job done. You know, this guy reminds me I've got to get my letter in, so I just sit down and I write my letter and I do it and I send it off to him, and then he comes back and criticises me and tells me all the things I've forgotten.
No, suggestions.
Just suggestions, that's right, and I write that back and I send it off. I just do the things that I need to do. But I'm very efficient and quick at what I do, which is the same thing as when you're doing a job. What did you say a division was?
Mowing.
Mowing, yeah.
It's the same way you're doing a mowing job. It's the same kind of thing. You want to be able to get the best possible job in the least possible time. Now, whether you're mowing a lawn, or whether you're cleaning a pool, or you're washing a dog, or you're answering emails, or whatever you're doing, there's got to be a way of achieving what you want in the least time possible. And I'm fairly good at that kind of thing, because I was a pretty good mowing contractor. I used to mow regularly about 12 jobs a day. And I would do 12 jobs and I'd go home and I'd do all my paperwork and phoning and stuff. So I'm efficient. Everything I used to do, how to get between jobs in the least possible time.
Yeah.
How to plan my day. How to use a bit of equipment. How to save myself one step emptying a grass bag. The actual system that I use, which I can tell you. How you cut really long grass efficiently. How you get around a tree fast. How you brush cut. How you use a brush cutter with the minimum. You know, all the 1,000 little tricks of the trade. You're always trying to do a better job quicker. And at every level of business, the same thing.
Yeah.
What I do today is different, but it's the same principle. We want to help you to do that too.
Yeah. Just Just like shearing a sheep.
Just like you.
That's what I've done all my
You
life.
sheared a sheep, have you?
Yeah, that's all I've
They're
done
hard
all
workers.
my
They're
life.
hard workers.
You know all about hard work. If you're, I used to work on a farm in West Australia actually, for when I left school for a few months, and the shearers came in. They were hard men. I tell you what, they would.
How much are you getting paid per sheep? How much is it?
It's gone up to $4.50.
Oh, really?
$5 in Australia now since COVID because
Can't get anyone to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many could you do in a day? 100, 200?
Well, back home in New Zealand, the easiest, the most I've done over there is 400.
In a day?
Yeah, the
Gee
most
whiz.
over here is about 350.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Hard
Wow.
worker.
Okay, you know what hard working.
You'll be fine.
It's the same principle. I bet you anything. How many sheep per day did you shear when you started?
Oh, you just start from, no, you're not doing many, but
That's right.
yeah, you've just got to find ways to do it faster and faster. And then just start racing everyone that's next to you. Without the farmer getting angry that you're doing a rough job.
Yeah, I used to stay in the shearers' quarters actually on this farm I was
Oh, yeah.
working on. And when the shearers came, I had to go somewhere else. But then they were a rough lot. They really were, those shearers. But they were real men.
Because you were a jackaroo in you were a jackaroo in WA for a bit, right?
Sort of, yeah. I was just just rounding up cattle and sheep and stuff like that. And
And that's when you got called, well, that's when you came up with calling you Jim.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was a young guy there my age, and he was called David. And I said, call me Jim, which is my second name. That's how I kind of changed my name.
Oh, yeah.
So that was for 4 months. It was a good experience, actually. I like farm life was good. You're a bit lonely. You didn't have a car or anything, but it was a good job.
How old were you when you did that?
18.
Oh, yeah.
Just for 4 months.
Nice.
But it was good. Didn't pay very much. I think they paid me about about $18 a week plus keep, which even those days wasn't much.
Thank you.
But don't get offended if you send him a big email like this and you get a short reply. Don't get offended. He does that to everyone. So be short and sharp with what you write to him.
But I will, if somebody sends me an email that's meaningful, like today I had an email from somebody who was not getting enough leads. There's a carpet cleaning guy. So I went through a whole stack of stuff. I showed him, I put him onto some videos about how to claim paperwork guarantee. I got him all the details of the local franchisees in his area from other divisions. I said contact them, offer them a freebie. I gave a rocket to the franchisor. I said, this guy, not nearly enough leads. You've got to boost his advertising. And I told him to let me know. I also talked about jobs from other divisions. Like he was a carpet cleaner. I said, we've also got gardening and mowing jobs in your area. Because I checked. And I found there's a whole lot of mowing and gardening jobs unserviced. So I said, first of all, I can put you down for these. And he's now looking at getting himself a mower because he lives on a country property. And I said, if you really don't like it, I'll arrange for you to transfer between divisions and I'll give you a mowing franchise because I know it's in one of our regions. So, when there's a reason, I'll spend time on it. And that would take me about 10 minutes maybe. But that kind of thing I do all the time. And it's great. It's terrific. It's good that he responded to a 1 month letter. So, yeah. Everybody, if you have problems, contact me. I can do a lot.
Absolutely. Guys, if you've got a question for Jim, feel free to come up. We've got time for probably a couple more. Anything pressing on your mind?
You look like a shearer with that beard, I've got to say, really. Magnificent beard, I like that. We actually did consider making it compulsory that every Jim's franchise should have a beard, but the women started objecting, so we just had to.
Go for it, come on, Archie.
Hi, sir. My name's Keith. I'm up from Coffs Harbour Rapid with Brett Godfrey at Newcastle.
Test and tag, right?
Yeah, test and tag, yeah. It's a bit of a broad question, and it's to do with the whole trade wars, tariff wars, etc. that are going on now.
Yes.
I wanted to tap into your brain because it's not necessarily Jim's, but Australia economy, but it will be affected. What your thoughts are in context of that, say from a global position, Australia's position?
It's potentially damaging to Australia, no question about it. Not so much from the effect on us directly, but the effect on China. If you cut out Chinese from exporting, you're going to reduce the demand for our raw materials, which is what we've got wealthy on. We are ridiculously over borrowing. We're spending something like $42 billion a year just on the debt, which we didn't even have 20 years ago. It was all paid off. So that's about a quarter of our social welfare budget. At the rate we're going, we'll just go bankrupt. So the government's spending far too much, not taxing enough to cover the expenses that we're going. That's a different subject. The economy is could be in serious danger. I do think there's a good chance of a breakdown coming, of a recession coming of some kind. As far as gyms is concerned, now I don't want that to happen. It'd be bad for the economy, it'd be bad for the country. But I have to say, from our point of view, it's probably going to be a good thing. Now that's being selfish. And I don't. If I really wanted a recession, believe me, guys, I'd vote Greens, all right? But I don't. I don't. I vote for who I think is best for the country. However, if stupid Greens policies come in place and the country goes into recession, it will be good for gyms, because we had over 200,000 unserviced leads in the past year. We do not have enough franchisees, not nearly enough. We could find a lot more leads if we had more franchisees. We do better in poor times. So then we like to guess out of Australia and New Zealand where we're growing fastest. New Zealand. Why? Because the economy is terrible. And we've got work, and we can find work for them. So people don't have the other options, and they come and buy a franchise.
Yeah.
We did very well in the Keating recession back in the 90s. We grew like 40% in a year. That was a tremendous year for us because people were losing their jobs, and we had work. So yes, it's a good industry. Home service industry, gyms especially, because we're the elite of the industry. We're going to be fine.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Very good question. Guys, got time for some more questions though? Come up and ask him anything you like. A couple more.
I'm going to ask this question on behalf of one of my friends over here. I'm aware this has been asked before, but I'll ask you anyway. What is the structure, or what's in place for gyms when you are either no longer able to do your role or when you're not with us?
Okay, I have a life experience of about 20 years. If you go on Google, given my state of health, which is as good as it can be, in every sense, I'm probably going to be living until my early to mid-90s. That's the expectation. I have a family trust set up. There's a governing board of directors, which is elected first by my children. It will be one franchisee, one person voted for by franchisees in Jim's group, and somebody who represents my research institute. They will be jointly in control. So franchisees will get a vote. 60% of my estate goes to my research foundation, 40% goes to help my children get jobs and so forth, get houses and so forth. So it's a sort of a split in it, between those two. There's a clause in the contract that says the majority of share of Jim's group cannot be sold to anybody without the written consent of a majority of franchisees. So I can't control everything beyond the grave, but as far as I possibly can, the thing I really want to avoid is anybody coming along and ripping off my franchisees in the way that people like Retail Food Group do. I can't guarantee it, but I do know some of my kids who'd like to be involved are very ethical people, and they've grown up understanding their ethical system. So I have very strong hopes. I've got one of my children, my daughter, heavily involved in the gyms division now in removals.
That was going to be the second part of the question, was are your kids involved? Yep.
Just about all my kids have worked to some degree.
James has been here for a bit.
James has worked, he's a lawyer. So I've got some wonderful kids, I have to say. Should be my wife's credit, not mine at all. But as far as I can tell, do anything I possibly can to protect my franchisees in the future. And I just hope, it's a bond. When I told my CFO that I was going to put that clause in the contract last year, he said, it's going to dramatically cut the value of your business. I said, good.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to become some monumental cash cow. I don't want my kids to become like trust fund kids. We try to set it up so that it doesn't weaken them and soften them and give them too much and just always being after more money. I don't want that to happen. But I want my people to be protected. I'll do what I can.
Thank you.
Good question. A lot of horror stories, unfortunately, franchise brands where the founder sells to private equity or the...
Yes, yeah, they do. You get somebody who cares about franchisees and somebody comes in. Look, I have to be frank with you. If somebody came into gyms right now in my position and said my first priority is no longer franchisee, it's money, you could probably double profit within a very short space of time. There's all kinds of things that were possible. It's just the way it is. No, I don't do it. We've just gone through and done dramatic. There's 2 divisions we control totally, which is dog wash and fencing. Now, there's 2 divisions in Jim's group which have had a drastic cut in their fees. Like to guess what they are? Dog wash, fencing. Both of them put their fees down. Dog wash more in terms of advertising, but fencing dramatically cut their fees because I said it's just too high. It's not fair. So, while I'm in this position, I have to say I got interviewed by Forbes, you know the Wealth magazine? They wanted to do an interview. And I said to them, quite frankly, I don't know why you're interviewing me because Forbes is about wealth, creating wealth. And I said, I wouldn't even think becoming wealthy is in my top 10 priorities. My research, my franchisees, my family, those kind of things matter to me. Money doesn't. It's impossible to make a lot more money in what I do, and I just don't think that's the right thing to do.
There you go. Got one more time for one more question with Jim, guys. Who's got the last one for Jim before we do the prizes and give us the things away? Anyone got one for Jim that's burning on their minds? It's a great opportunity. Ask him anything you like. No? I can see someone sort of moving. No? Anyone got a question for Jim? One more? Yeah, we'll make this the last one. We'll do the prizes. Thank you very much.
I don't know if this is a question, more of just what I've picked up over the last bit. So, g'day, I'm Rick, starting the Jim's Mowing franchise in Bathurst. Dan's helping me out. Apparently there hasn't been one in Bathurst, so I'm kicking that off, and I'm really looking forward to it. One thing I've picked up is, especially from the last few comments, especially with Deshant, was you're very aware of what your abilities are, what you're very good at, but it also seems that you're also very aware of your weaknesses.
Yep.
And being able to pass on those to other people that do know and are experts in those areas.
Like this guy is a perfect example.
Yeah. So I think that's just something that's really come across and hopefully beneficial for the crowd, that have never been a person that's good at admin. I had my own mobile coffee van many years ago. I started that up from scratch and ran that along with travelling and all sorts of other bits and pieces. I became a correctional officer for 10 years in New South Wales, and moving away from that, I just decided I need to get back into doing my own business. And and the whole mowing and being outside really appealed to me now in this stage of life. I'm mid-40s and doing that. And just seeing how open you are about all that and focusing on what you're strong at, but being prepared to, I suppose, outsource what your weaknesses are to the people that are strong in those areas is actually very informative and very fantastic for, I think, myself and a lot of people here, that don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and ask for help for people that are beneficial.
I appreciate that. One of the things I did when I wrote the book, I don't want people to read my book or hear my life story and think that guy is so amazing, I could never be as good as that. I want people to think this guy is such a fool in so many ways, I bet I can do better than him. Or even if somebody makes mistakes, they can still end up doing okay. I think that's very important. I reckon one of the single most underestimated business virtue is humility. The ability to recognise that I am not the best, that I do make mistakes, that I do need to improve.
Yes.
And I find that people who've got that element of humility tend to do an awful lot better than somebody who's simply arrogant, thinks they're always right and doesn't listen.
I very much
You've got
agree.
some good experience there. That's interesting. We'd love to do mobile coffee vans again. We did it once, but we had the wrong person driving. It didn't work, but you never know.
I can definitely teach someone how to do it because I was very successful with it. I just got sick of living on the Central Coast and how busy that life was and moved to rural location. But
I've got to admit, just speaking personally, if I was going to do any manual jobs, I reckon mowing, Lewin's gardening beats anything. I'm sorry to everybody else who's not there, but to me, being outside, you know what I do at the weekend for fun?
You mow your lawn.
I garden.
Yeah, so
I
do
garden.
I.
I've got huge veggie patches. I've got a potato patch about the size of this room here. And I love getting in there and getting really filthy dirty and digging it up, and potatoes and pumpkins and silver beet and zucchini and berries and all kinds of things. And
it brings you back down to nature and makes you just feel grounded. That's what
I reckon.
find about it.
I reckon
Yeah.
it's the best job. Sorry to everybody else. People ask me what's the best division. I have to say, in my heart, I bleed green.
I don't think it's instant satisfaction. Once you
That's right, yeah.
mow or you do something,
Yes.
straight
You see what you're
away
doing.
you can see how good that looks
That's
from
true.
how it was. You can see the part that hasn't been mowed or the hedge that hasn't been trimmed, that part there, and you look at what you've done, and it's instant gratification that you've just got that.
It is very important to do what you love as far as you possibly can. You talk to Haydar Hussain, who's the head of the clean division, and the interesting thing, he was a banker, and then he got a job cleaning the bank after hours, and he said, you know what? I enjoy the cleaning more than the banking.
Yep.
So he was a cleaner, he had his own business, wasn't going too well, came to us, he's now got this multi-million-dollar empire with 1,500 franchisees.
1,700.
1,700, he looks after in all those divisions. He's doing incredibly well. But it comes from the fact that he actually enjoyed cleaning, which was a great thing.
Yeah.
And people who do dog wash, who love dogs, and people who do antennas and who have that electronic thing or security. I mean, that's so much the secret. If you do what you love, it's not really a job, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. You turn up and you see your friends every day.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
And get a Jim's bookkeeper if you need it, because that's where a lot of people make the mistake. They do their books themselves, stuff them up. So
No.
Jim's bookkeeper,
No.
that's really cheap.
If you don't know it, pass it
That's
on
right.
to someone that does and be
That's
happy
right.
to pay for it because it's worth it.
It is true
Yeah.
too. I was a very skilled mowing contractor. Did I maintain my own car? No way did I do that or anything else. I just did what I was good at and let everybody else do everything else. Good idea.
Good stuff.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for that then. So Jim, so what we do now, guys, is if you ask the question on the microphone, please come and see me at the end, and you can pick anything you like up here that's left. But Jim, you can call out 3 names for your prizes, and they can take anything they like from up here. As
Yeah,
well.
there's so many good ones today.
was, yes.
I like the one asking about if I had to change my name. Nobody ever asked me that before. Who said that?
I think it was the gentleman in the white
Yeah,
shirt. Yep, come and get what you like. Yep, grab anything you like. You get first pick. You get the beers, monopolies, books, whatever. Good man.
Yeah.
Great man. That's it.
Yeah. Jeez.
And if you want a photo of Jim, you can see me as well at the end. We can do them.
If you haven't had a photo, everybody come
Yeah,
afterwards.
good lights here
We've
too.
got a good light
Yeah.
here. I like the one somebody else said quite early. What else would you do if it wasn't research? If it wasn't?
Yes.
That was an interesting question. Who said
That was
that?
an earlier one. Yep, come and grab what you like. Go for it. Whatever you want. Monopoly. Yep, smart man.
And there were so many. I love the AI and the epigenes, but I reckon the superhero question. Whoever said that was good. So
There you go. Cool. Guys, if you ask a question as well, you come up and see me at the end, and you can take the beers, books, whatever you want as well. We've got some gift cards here too as well. Thank you very much for your attention tonight as well, and good luck with the rest of your training experience. If you want a photo of Jim or anything as well, please give me your phone here, because it's a massive rush on Wednesday. It's a lot better now than in the Dark Lecture Theatre on Wednesday, so please get it now if you can. And thank you very much, and have a good night. So.